Welcome to a new episode of the Atlas Solutions Podcast. My name's Brian. He's Chad, and today we're going to outline this week's Apple event. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
Going awesome. So lots of new stuff this week. On Tuesday, we had the spring Apple event, which in the last podcast, we talked about the chip shortage that's sort of plaguing the world. And I think that's going to kind of play into this. First off, it was a little later than sort of maybe we expected, but we still got the event. And so just to kind of outline, we were just going to go over what they announced and then what does that mean for business and what does that mean for you? So a couple of little surface level things that they threw out in the beginning. Tim Cook started out by talking about the new purple iPhone 12. So it's just another color for spring, which you'll see later. That's also a new color for one of the new IMAX, which is pretty neat. So purple iPhone, Apple Card family, which I think is pretty interesting. I got the Apple Card when it came out a year or so ago, and I just really like the Apple Card. I think the physical card is metal. That's kind of whatever. If you have the wallet, it's a little too thick to fit in there. If you've got more than one or two things that get stuck. But the concept I think is cool. The interface is by far the best there is. So you've got the app on your phone. You can see how much you pay, how much you're going to pay in interest, when's your due date, how much you need to do to pay off, what's pending. If you pay for something, it immediately pops up on your iPhone of what the charge was, where it came from. It just works really well, and it's clean and it's nice. It's not ambiguous. You can see the charges. Everything's great. This takes it to another level with the family. My kids are young and yours are too, Brian, but I'm thinking too, like, this would be nice to do almost like an allowance, like, hey, here's how to use money in the modern world. Like, instead of handing them cash, like, you've got $5 a month, or I might be too cheap of a dad, but maybe
it has to run out. I think that's the ticket there.
And it does. There should be currency, a spending limit.
You need to know a way to track that it's going to go away. If you know how to conserve your money.
And I think that's the key. Is it's not just letting your kid have, full access, but, setting a spending limit of, like, each of you can use this to this amount. And it's just, I'm a big, like, teach people how to use their finances guy, especially in the younger years when, money runs out. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. I add my wife in so she could use it to purchase as well. So to get into the hardware, again, there's always rumors about everything that's going to be coming out. And it's always exciting because Apple fundamentally is a hardware company. So to see them release this new hardware is pretty exciting, starting with the iMac. So the iMac is beautiful. I mean, at first I thought it was a little hokey. I was like, oh, these colors are so vibrant. But they're pretty interesting. I mean, yellow and orange and purple and pink and blue. The most boring one is the gray, like this, the classic silver.
Yeah, there's 6 colors in silver.
Yeah. But, I think there's something to be said about that. I personally think I was a little bit disappointed that there was not a bigger display. It's a 24-inch, which is bigger than the 21. But if you have a 27, you're losing 3 inches of screen. So I think that they're going to reserve the space gray for another one that'll come out in the future, which would be like a pro model, and we'll see the
and they've communicated that if it's pro, it's space gray, like everything, like the iMac Pro. For a while, there was the Mac Mini. The Pro version. It wasn't called Pro, but there was the Pro. It was Pro because it was gray,
it's
space
Pro
gray,
because
not
it's
silver.
gray. Yeah,
yeah, that's what makes it Pro, not the processor. It's the color. The 24-inch. I was really hoping, like you, for a big new iMac. This is a direct replacement for the 21.5. This is the new entry level iMac.
Yep.
So this is the consumer, you're doing word processing. You're not doing, I would say it's the baseline, but the M1 makes it really capable.
Totally.
This is just setting up the rest of the line to me. Like the next thing's what I'm excited about, but
totally. Yeah.
Just the power it does this is the base model, can do anything you want it to do just about, right?
Well, yeah. And, I was talking to one of our clients who's a video editor yesterday, and the claim that this machine can run, if I'm not mistaken, 5 4K streams without dropping packets at the same time. Because this guy's first concern, and this has been the concern with the M1 from the beginning, is, I can't do what I need with 16 gigs of RAM. I'm running 32, 64 already, but we just don't know apples to oranges anymore. So until we see it running, Final Cut or Premiere or whatever, doing those 4K streams, we just won't know. So I think we need to get one in our hands. I've got the M1 laptop, but this is a little bit different experience, a bigger screen. Again, I was more excited for kind of the pro version because I have a 5K now. This is a 4.5K. So you're losing a little bit of screen real estate. But just from a design standpoint, I mean, I have a 27-inch iMac now and I love it, but I've noticed as well, like when it butts up against a wall, it's pretty deep. So this new one is basically a gigantic iPad. It's super thin.
Really? Yeah.
And they're amazing. They're beautiful. So, exciting things with the iMac. I think also, and this has been a well-known limitation of the M1, is the IO capabilities. They don't have many ports on them. So there's 4 USB 4 ports. 2 of them are Thunderbolt and 2 are USB 4. There's no more old school USB cables plugging in the back. There's no Ethernet. The Ethernet is now on the
power brick.
Which I like that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I like that they moved the power brick outside of the device.
Yeah.
Especially from a maintenance or a repairability standpoint.
Yeah.
Because we've had people who have had power supplies die.
Yep.
And that's you take it in, you got to have it taken apart. But now if your power supply dies, just buy a new one, plug it in.
Exactly. Right? It reminds me of the old Mac Pros when you would have the power supply for the big monitor and stuff, and it would, it was a little bit clunky, but this is nice. It looks streamlined. It's got the sort of the material wrapped around it. I do think it's interesting that the iMac now has a magnetic power supply. That seemed a little odd. I don't know why you would ever want that to be magnetic, but I can see it. Be
magnetic. That's going to be the new thing,
right?
Or the old thing again.
Oh, the old thing again. Well, but I'm thinking too, like when I was talking to that developer or the video editor yesterday, the chin is still there on the iMac. There's no Apple. It's just a lighter color of the color that's actually on the back. But the beautiful part's on the back. So in a computer lab with a bunch of colors, I can see it being great. And,
or open office environment, we got like the open floor plan, have all these, either if they're all the same color, if they fit into your company branding or something.
Exactly.
That'd be really cool to see a bunch of blue iMacs in your call center or whatever.
Exactly. Like I personally think I like the green one. The green one's a nice deep green. It's just the front looks nice. So it's very tempting, even though, I would lose some of the real estate. It's still tempting to look at those as a replacement. I think it's just the jury's out. Like I need to kind of see how's it going to do with video editing and all that. And the truth will come out eventually. Is there going to be another one? We don't know. I don't want to speculate and rumor, but to kind of go to the next topic, the iPad Pro also has the M1 chip in it now. So basically you can get a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, Mac Mini, iMac, or an iPad, all with the same chip in it, which is super interesting to me. Yeah. And it's all a very, very powerful chip. So we have this scene of Tim Cook coming in and dropping the M1, which is just kind of silly, but still fun. And they drop it into the iPad. When we're talking about, I've said this for years with the iPhone, like what else can you add to it? Like the iPad is basically a screen of glass. The bezel's almost gone now. I mean, it's just a very, very thin bezel. There's nothing on the front of it. The back is just a plain, and you've got this huge camera on it now. I like the wide angle where it kind of tracks you. I think for your common user that's trying to shoot, a cooking video or talking to mom on FaceTime, having them follow you, that's a really interesting, nice little bit of engineering. So yeah, the iPad Pro, I mean, I have people there. I have somebody texting me even this morning, like, I think I'm going to get rid of my MacBook Pro and get the 12-inch iPad and just see, I'm going to give my daughter this Mac and I'm going to see how it goes. I'm still not quite there yet. I think that I've had clients that got rid of it and then said, yeah, I'm going to get a laptop too.
I don't know how you can, it depends on what you do. I think it really depends on what you do. Yeah. What you do. Yeah, there's certain things that just aren't the same. Or maybe it's, as we get older, we're stuck in our ways on the computer and the tablet.
I think it's a little bit of both. My biggest hang up is spreadsheets. I think spreadsheets and word editing is still a little bit behind. That being said, though, with practice, you can get good at anything. I mean, I know people that hate the trackpad.
Yeah.
And then if they just use it for a little while, they're like, oh, this is great. I love the trackpad.
Yeah. And, spreadsheets, when they added mouse, the cursor last year.
Yeah.
That changed the game on spread. Because doing spreadsheet with your finger is terrible.
Oh, it's terrible.
Having able to click on a mouse or use the magic trackpad or whatever.
Yep.
Way more usable.
Exactly. So we'll see. I personally think I'm going to get the smaller iPad. I already have the 12-inch and I'm looking at maybe getting the smaller one, and I'm going to use the trackpad. I've set up the trackpad with Bluetooth, but that keyboard has always been interesting to me. See how, can I go to a meeting or go on site with just that and see how that works? So I'm going to give that a shot. Things are going to start delivering or getting available to purchase in 7-8 days. On the 30th. So,
yeah. And that goes back to the chip shortage too, because the availability is not till, they said middle of May. They didn't even give a date. They said mid-May.
Well, and that's what
this stuff is. You order it and a week later they ship.
Exactly. And that's why I started the podcast by saying, I think that's where we're seeing, instead of definite dates, we're seeing okay, we're going to announce it today, but you can't buy it till a week and a half from now. And then it'll come out sometime in the middle of next month. So they're giving themselves like a month buffer, and who knows, maybe they'll, that from now to the 30th is like, let's see how many clicks we get on the website, and try
the timing here is really interesting to me because, WWDC is like the first part of June. I feel like the first week or really close in there. So, and this is a little bit speculation for me. I'm just going to throw this out there, but you're going to get your new stuff. So just say you are a developer, you're going to get your new iPad or something right at the end of May. And then June, they're going to announce a new iPad OS, new iOS, and there's going to be features in there that make this is going to be an aha, I think, on this iPad. Because right now they bump some stuff. There's a nice display on it. But does it do anything else right now?
Right. Exactly.
So, you can power a 5K or what's it, the Pro XDR with the iPad.
Is crazy.
But there's no windowing support. Can you imagine having that screen with just Slack on it on your iPad?
Right.
Wow, that's huge, right?
Well, yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. That's why when you're using an iPad, and I know until you just get your hands on it and play with it, it's hard to explain it. You got to get in there and play with it. But when you're using a mouse and a keyboard and with apps, it's a little funny. It's like, okay, wait, I'm scrolling through apps. Whereas, on Mac OS, you can click kind of anywhere and you can move folders anywhere. And the iPad's just not the same way. It's more containerized and all that. Yep. So we will see what's coming, because now the iPad, we've kind of said this for the last few generations, but the iPad is basically a laptop, with kind of a different style keyboard that can detach or whatever. And then on the other side, the MacBook Air is basically an iPad that runs Mac OS. Now they literally are the same thing. So is it going to be possible that you can, click a button and your iPad runs Mac OS? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. So I think that's a little ways out, but you can see the possibilities there for sure.
Totally. Well, and already with the M1, from an MDM standpoint, there's stuff coming down the pipe from Big Sur that's super, super important. Not to go way deep into some of this technology, but now if you don't have an MDM and you're trying to enroll your device in MDM with the M1 chip, your recovery partition is different. So now you have to actually hold down the power button, boot into the option boot, and then you have to specifically go under the boot settings and allow kernel extensions from unauthorized people like an MDM provider. So now if you don't have an Apple custom store and Apple DEP set up for your MDM, your enrollment process is going to be a manual, like I got to touch the thing.
Yeah.
And that's a big, big deal. So, that's clearly Apple saying, if you want to do business the right way, this chip is going to give you a lot of extra security, but you got to play by the rules. You got to get out. Apple Business Manager is free. You got to sign up for it. Mm-hmm. I've been helping customers just this week, like set it up, and there's a lot of questions. There's YouTube videos we've posted about it and other podcasts where these services Apple is trying to give them to you. If you're not aware of them, reach out and we'll let you know. But we're very much going into the world of these chips are a new generation of this is how computers and Apple devices are going to be managed in the enterprise. And you got to kind of play by the rules. So this chip is exciting in a way because it feels almost like a brand new wave of Apple stuff. It's like, everything's different. The things from 10 years ago with the recovery partition, all that, it's changing. It's turning into this new evolution with the M1. So, and now we're seeing it in the Macs and in the iPads as well. So the other couple of things that they announced, the AirTags, those are kind of a long time coming. Of course, there's lawsuits already. I've used Tile for years and they're awesome. I love the Tiles. I'm kind of surprised Apple had waited this long to put them out. And I don't know a bunch about the lawsuit, but it's like, it is what it is. Like Tile, I hate it for them. They're probably going to go under, maybe not go under, but it's going to be a big competition. But the price tag on these tags, $100 for 4 of them.
Yeah.
And that's the deal,
a piece.
$30 I mean, $30 is, a decent amount. I have not looked into them too much, but from what I could see, it looks like a little round thing, just about the size of a quarter. And I believe I saw an image where you can basically take the back off and put a new battery in.
Yeah, it's the CR 2032.
Okay.
Like the standard, the fat watch battery,
Okay.
So you go to Lowe's and get a 6-pack of those. So those last forever. Those last a really long time.
Yeah. Well, that's always been my, you can, with some of the newer Tiles, you can swap batteries, but in the first generation, when they started aging out, you had to ship them back and get a credit. Mm-hmm. It was pretty annoying. Like, I just want to be able to swap the battery in it. Now, some of the newer ones can do that. The Apple one looks nice. I think the edge that Tile has over this is they have like the built-in key ring, whereas this Apple Tag's you got to buy this extra leather thing now.
Sure.
We're going to get accessoried to death. Like, do I really need an AirTag keychain holder
for your AirTags? Yeah. AirTags,
Hermes
AirTags.
So it just is. It's one of those things where it's going to be, oh great, now I've got to buy the leather brown to match.
Yeah, there's going to be third party. I mean, just sit a week or two, and Amazon's going to have $5 4-pack of multicolor silicon. I mean, if you haven't thought about it already, spin up your 3D printer, start getting those out there.
Yeah,
the market's going to be good for it, right? I think the advantage here, and I've read this in a few articles. Apple has 1 billion iPhones out there, and they're all part of this network. So think about how many times you see just an iPhone in public. Like there's the infrastructure they've been kind of laying in there for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And so when these come out, you're not waiting for it to work. It's going to work everywhere.
Yeah.
And they've added some really interesting safety features. I'm not sure if you read about that, like the anti-stalking stuff.
No. Yeah.
Basically the AirTag, if you just as an example, if you want to track like where your wife was going or child without using their phone, you could put it in their bag or something. The AirTag will start if that person has a phone, they'll go, "Hey, there's an AirTag close to you." Like if it's not where it's supposed to be, it's going to throw a red flag kind of thing. Like, wait a minute, who put this here? Why is this following me around? Kind of thing.
Well, it goes both ways. Like we get technology, and I think this has been one of the biggest hurdles that we've had to deal with the growth of technology is these companies just put stuff out and it's super exciting and yay, we got all these extra features. And then they start thinking, oh, wait, we got to backtrack. Like, I know it's in their best interest to try to get people addicted to phones and stuff, particularly Facebook and Google. Apple doesn't really care if you're constantly on the phone as long as you buy a new one every year. They don't care. But now they're starting to say, well, wait a second. People are addicted to these things. Maybe we should put things like screen time in or, excuse me, how do we deal with kids and like wanting to know where they are, but also being secure and private from other people and different things. So it's interesting to see, but the benefit I know with Tile, when I had one years ago, I stuck one in my luggage and I left my luggage at the hotel. I didn't know. And I was like, where did I leave this bag? And a couple hours later, it showed up because I guess somebody walked by that happened to have a Tile as well. You're totally right. With all the Apple devices out there, it'll make it more useful. And again, to Apple's benefit, just from the demos, I know it's going to be easier to get to, easier to use, and probably more reliable than some of these third parties. Like from the demo, it looked like it literally points you which way to go to find the thing. Yeah. So it'll be curious. I'm interested to see how the AirTags work. Sort of sad for Tile, but it is what it is. Maybe Apple will open up to allow their stuff to be part of it, like they've done with some of these other third-party Bluetooth, and then maybe Tile would be happy. They could kind of fit in the ecosystem, but who knows? We'll see. The last thing is the Apple TV. Apple TV, the device itself typically is hidden. It's tiny. It's black. It's stuck behind a TV someplace, in a cabinet someplace. Really, it's almost invisible, and a lot of TV providers have built in the OS of Apple TV to their TV already. So like my TV is from Samsung. It has an app called Apple TV, so you don't really need the box. This thing is 4K, but also I believe they have a different word for it, but it's 120 hertz, I believe, but they call it something else. Like, I
haven't looked into this one very much.
Yeah, I didn't really either. Honestly, it's not super exciting to me.
I think
but
they've changed some of the display technology. This is one of those, you just talked about great technology coming up, but you can't really use it everywhere. This is one of those situations where some of the screen advancements they've put in the Apple TV won't matter unless you're using the latest iPhone and you're watching your own home movies kind of thing,
Yep.
It's not fully, it's not everywhere yet. It's like movie producers aren't using it. YouTube people aren't using it.
Right.
It's just kind of this niche thing.
Well, exactly. I mean, I did a video a while back about how to make your iPhone shoot 4K 60 frames a second. And if you're not sure what that means, it means you have 4K. We're kind of everybody's familiar now with 4K, but what that means is if you had a 1080p screen, you have 4 of those screens smashed into one block. So super high definition. 60 frames a second is it's a way faster. So it's super smooth instead of sort of blocky looking. So now in the last video we did on YouTube about that, you got to be careful because you'll fill your iPhone up with videos. I believe it's like a gig a minute. It's super, super huge. But to be able to show that on, most people nowadays have 4K screens, 8K is coming. It's just a matter of time and money before those become more affordable. But I was just looking here. It is 120 frames a second. Apple sometimes adds words to things that it means 120 FPS but they give it a name, and I can't remember what they called it.
It's
but it was
super
like,
duper refresh rate or something.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, cool, it has that, and it's like, oh, it's 120, whatever, and then they'll probably add that to the thing. So, the other thing that was added to the Apple TV that's of significance is the new remote. Mm-hmm. So they it looks like the old one, but it functions like the new one. So you can swipe over the little circle, you can click the circle. I think that's pretty interesting engineering to you kind of get the best of both worlds, because the last Siri remote, sometimes the swipe, even though I thought it was nice to have a little touch pad in that small area, sometimes you just wanted to click and you weren't sure if you're clicking on the left or right. It was
hard to learn how to like scan and like roll back to something.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a long time to figure out what the right finger combination for that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have two things on this remote. The first is, why is it so hard to make a good remote that looks nice? And because they haven't nailed it yet. The previous one, like I would pick it up and I'm pushing the wrong buttons because it's backwards and I can't tell.
Right. Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to feel the difference, but I can't really tell which, if I'm not looking, it's black and it's dark. No idea what I'm doing. The second thing is, why is there not a U1 chip inside the remote?
Yeah.
Like, I want this to chime at me. I want to go, where's my remote?
Yes.
It's buried, like from that, we saw the commercial in the keynote. It's in the couch cushions, right? I didn't see an Apple remote. Maybe I did see an Apple remote actually in the couch.
That I need to go back and look, because that was my biggest complaint is, please just, maybe they want us to buy an AirTag and glue it to the back,
tape
or
it on
something,
there.
But just fix that, please.
Yeah. That's all I want. I want to be able to find my remote, because the kids get it and it just dies. It disappears. Or my wife never puts it back in the same place twice. I can't find it. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll hopefully get you some new news coming up with any other releases that are coming out. And stay tuned. We'll be ordering some products maybe in the next few days, and we'll be reviewing them as they come out. So thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.